one. When it comes to the history of the NBA, some of the greatest players of all time were all taken directly out of high school. I mean, Kevin Garnett, Dwight Howard, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Tracy McGrady. There are several. And many teams were even reluctant. Like, for example, the Minnesota Timberwolves could have drafted Kobe Bryant, but they didn't want two 18-year-olds to be the foundation of their future just in case it didn't work out and they'd be the laughingstock of the NBA. I mean, there are so many what-if stories when it comes to teams taking 18-year-old kids directly out of high school rather than, going the older route. It's incredible. Maybe I'll even dive into some of them here on this channel. But when it comes to players that are 18, there's a big argument to be made that their growth and experience going directly into the NBA rather than college or overseas or, to one of these other leagues is their development can get grown a lot faster. They become a lot better a lot quicker. I mean, look at Kobe. Kobe came into the league. He was this raw kid, airballed his first shot, all of this stuff. And it wasn't looking good, but he was able to work hard, get the experience. He was around NBA players playing against NBA level talent. And that's the big key is that, you could get these guys instead of them going to 3 or 4 years of college, you get them in the NBA, you get them under their system, especially with today's, technology and advancements and medicine and just things at their disposal, trainers, stuff like that. It's just, there's no higher level. So these kids aren't going to get any better training anywhere else than they would, in these organizations, stuff like that. And teams have shown that they're willing to take an 18-year-old kid. A lot of these kids that come in, even though after the one and done style, are still only like 18, 19 years old. So the NBA is looking to potentially move off of this. So return to high school to NBA and new CBA, NBA and NBPA in talks about changing eligible draft age from 19 to 18 per sham. So basically, as long as you're 18 years old, you could come into the league or you've done, 1 year of college, things like that. So this is huge. This would be big news for a lot of really good, talented young guys. I mean, somebody like Zion, who people were talking about, he has an NBA ready body. He's ready to go now. I could see a team drafting him immediately, and what would have happened? Would he have been in the position he's in? Stuff like that. A lot of what ifs again. But to kind of dive into what this all entails is basically the NBA is considering moving off of the one and done rule and get back to what it used to be, where players could be drafted directly out of high school. A player to be drafted out of high school was Amir Johnson. He was on the Oklahoma City Thunder. He never really amounted to be anything great. He wasn't like LeBron James or anything like that. But the two sides have positive momentum as they work towards a new agreement. The current CBA expires after the 2023-2024 season. A clause in the deal allows both sides to immediately open formal CBA negotiations by December 15th. If the current CBA is reopened, it's a virtual certainty a new deal is on the horizon. If the current deal carries over to the 2023-2024, it will be a mechanism to give the two sides time to talk, but also increase the potential for work and stoppage. Obviously both teams want to prevent, lockout or anything like that. So I imagine that they're going to work on this. But this new policy would likely avoid a situation similar to the one Ben Simmons faced last season with the 76ers, fined him for missing games as he cited mental health concerns. The two sides later reached a financial settlement on grievance that Simmons filed. So basically, diving into the whole, because this is a real problem, players wanting out while they're in the middle of a contract. What classifies as something that could be a fine, what classifies as, things like that. That is something that really needs to be addressed, incentivizing players to actually stick with their current teams, things like that. I don't think you're going to be able to, because the amount of money that these players make is insane, and you're always going to have a player that wants out more than they want that extra 10, 20 million, whatever. So they're always going to just go to the next best thing. But while most fans have little investment in the financial battles between millionaires and billionaires, which is true, the end of one and done would have immediate impact across the league. The NBA implemented the rule requiring players to be at least 1 year removed from high school starting in the 2006 draft. 2005 was the last year they're drafted, and that was the Amir. He was the last high school player taken out. Again, doesn't really work. That change came amid a rash of prep to pro busts and essentially turned college basketball into a glorified minor league. Young superstars would arrive on campus, ball out, and then leave within months of their arrival. With the rule creating a fair share of one-and-done legends, it's hard to say it's made the draft evaluation process any more precise. Draft busts still happen on a regular basis, largely at the same rate they did under the prep to pro format. The NBA seemingly recognizes its mistake in recent years by launching the G League Ignite team, which features high-level prospects earning a salary rather than taking the collegiate route. Both sides appear to acknowledge it's better to cut out the middleman and allow 18-year-olds to join the league again, especially now that the G League has a stronger development system in place. So basically, back in 2005, which was the last year that they did allow high school kids out, the big problem was the concern and the likelihood of players becoming busts. And they saw like the Amir situation, and he ends up going down and has to be prepped, and it's just there was, as much as there have been great stars that have came out of high school, there have been a lot that weren't. And the concern was, would teams be taking a chance, a bigger risk, taking these young guys? And it doesn't work out. Let them go to college, let them get that experience, let them play against, talent like themselves, and then they can transition easier to the league. But what they realized, which, I think it's common sense, that didn't really make a difference. Because, one, again, it's a big difference when you're going from high school to the NBA. It's a big difference when you're going and playing against the best in the world, rather than most college kids, as great as they are, will never see an NBA roster, ever. So you're not playing against the best of the best talent. You're not getting the best of the best training and, medicine and things like that. Don't get me wrong. Colleges nowadays have an incredible, training staffs and medicine stuff, but it's not to the NBA standard. And when you have these high school kids going to play overseas because they'd rather have the money than go to college. They don't care about the degree when I could go and play with this team over here and they'll pay me $1 million. If I don't make it to the NBA, at least I have a head start with $1 million rather than, working and going to school for 4 years. That's the big difference. There's all these incentives, all these other organizations, the G League Ignite, stuff like that, to try to prep these guys. Well, now teams could draft these guys, and if they think they're not ready, stash them for a year or two, let them get the training and development under their banner, which would be better, again, than college. It's just, again, the NBA did this, tried it out for, the last 15 years and realized, it didn't really make a difference, because the lottery is a lottery. It's a gamble. It's a risk, some of these top prospects ever turn out to be terrible, or teams just take the wrong guys or stuff like that. More times than not, the guy that turns out to be the best player in the draft is usually a later pick, like a 15th pick or a 7th pick or things like that. A lot of these number one picks, bona fide stars, coming out of the league, this, that, and the other, more times than not, they're either just end up becoming role players. Maybe they become all-star players, but they don't become elite, and it takes time. You see so many guys, like the Kawhi Leonards, Klay Thompsons, Paul Georges, guys like that. They're drafted 13th, 15th. That is a big difference. So the NBA is just looking at it as look, if we just open the door and allow 18-year-olds to come in, it's not going to make that much of a difference, which I don't think it does either. And these teams get these guys longer, and you could even work it out to where maybe now instead of 5-year deals, you can do 6-year deals or 7-year deals or stuff like that to kind of give time, for an organization. So if a player isn't ready to go right away, you have that incentive to have them go down to your affiliate team or something like that, or even just work out with your pro team and try to get them to be the best that they can, but you're not losing a year or two. I think that would be a great way to kind of approach this. If you don't think 18-year-olds will be ready immediately, well, the teams that draft them, if you have a deal, now just extend it to where you could have these players for 6-7 years. That way you have extra years for development. You could just do that, period, or you could do it to where, it's an age rule where it's, which the NBA has plenty of those, but you could have like an age rule to where, a player can have a contract between, the age of 18 and 25. Once they're 25, then they can get a new deal, become a free agent, become restricted, whatever, because not just that, but it wouldn't make much of a difference because most of these young players, when they're drafted, they're with the team that drafted them for 7 to 10 years. Anyway, because you get your rookie deal, that's 3 years, whatever, and then once that expires, you immediately get a brand new extension, and that's where you start making the real money, and that's usually 4 to 5 years, and then so you're already with the team for 7, 8 years. So if you locked it in to where you could get these guys minimum 7 years, and then maybe each year becomes an incremental percentage. That way, the players aren't getting screwed. And then that way by age 25, they're in their prime and they're ready to go and they've been developed under your system. Now, if you have a guy like LeBron James who immediately comes in and just takes over and it's just one of the best players immediately, then great. You have that guy bare minimum 7 years. And that's just on his rookie contract, Like, there's ways to go about it. There's ways to structure it. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, how they work it out, how they figure it out. Hopefully they come to an agreement and we don't have to go into some lockout or something crazy like that. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What do you think about high school kids coming back to the NBA? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think it makes sense? Do you think it doesn't? However you feel about it, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section. Quick little shameless plug, go subscribe to my second channel, link down in the description below. As it stands, Lakers, I am a diehard Laker fan. I love talking Lakers. I could talk Lakers all day, just like I could talk about all sports all day. And I'm sure many of you watching to this point enjoy my commentary, enjoy these discussions. So go check out the Lakers channel. Even if you're not a Laker fan and you just like hearing me talk about stuff in basketball, go over there and subscribe. I'll link down in the description below. I promise you won't be disappointed. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.